I've spent the last 10 days looking through every single stock you can imagine in an attempt to make a portfolio that outperforms the S&P 500, which is basically the top 500 biggest companies in America. On average, the S&P returns about 10-11% a year. And if you take away inflation and all that stuff, you get about 7 to 8% of actual real money on your account. And because it's the top 500 biggest companies, it's used as an average benchmark for every single other investing activity, like comparing a trader's performance or whatever. Warren Buffett is a well-known investor, which is known for saying, oh, you can't outperform the S&P. But I completely disagree, because I got some money now and I'm trying to invest. And I found out like 90% of the companies on the S&P are all MPC. Like if you search a company up and the first thing you see on their website is how they're flexing they're on the S&P or they're on NASDAQ, that's an instant red flag. Like if you know the basics of business, you'll know exactly most of these companies are vaporware. They provide no real value in the real world. Like you can get all of this stuff that they're selling, you can get it from China in a better way. And anybody who has a brain shouldn't be investing in them. And the only people who are investing in these S&P 500 companies are essentially gamblers who know nothing about business, and they just see a stock price that's down and they want to invest thinking it's going to go up. So knowing this and how some of the companies, most of the companies in the S&P are like tobacco, alcohol, gambling, and all this other shit that I completely don't believe in and doesn't align with my values, I decided to try and make a portfolio that outperforms the S&P by strategically picking companies on the S&P who is in like the top 20% of the performers. Because using Pareto's principle, the top 20% of companies in the S&P bring in 80% of the revenue. So putting two and two together, I started doing my research, and I spent over $300 on this, from paying subscriptions for the tools. I went from 8 companies to 15 companies to 47 companies to 30 companies to 60 companies. And in the end, I've settled with 9 companies that actually work and is worth you investing in for the next 5 years at a bare minimum, and you just forgetting about your money. And you'll be getting the most returns compared to the S&P. I've got the companies right here. Before I tell you the companies though, the way I measured them was they must be real. So you can't have no vaporware company that nobody knows about who somehow through B2B are making billions. I just don't believe in that, and I think it's all rubbish. There must be a brand. They must solve a real problem, provide some sort of benefit, help people make money, status, whatever it is. It has to be something that people use, okay? It can't be no like rubbish company that nobody knows. And everybody you ask who isn't in the stock market must know who these people are. If my cousins who are under 13 don't know any of these companies, then I'm instantly not going to add it, because it's not worth it. You have to think strategically like a business owner. The 9 companies are, so I'm going to give it to you now. And then also I'm going to give you the percentages on each of them and how much percentage I've allocated to them in the description of this video. So the first one, I'm going to go from top to bottom, most invested to least invested, and there's only 9. And I promise you, I went from war companies in case there's war and all the other stuff, but none of them actually aligned with my values, which is just to become ultra rich, ultra wealthy in a good way. Shopify is number 1. Then NVIDIA. Then it's Ferrari. Apple, Visa, Hermès, Uber, Microsoft, and Hilton Worldwide. The only ones I care to explain is perhaps Hilton to the kids, but their parents already know who Hilton is, because anytime they went on holidays, you'd ideally stay at Hilton. Now, I strategically didn't include some other companies here. Like, I know about Google. I know about the Magnificent 7 companies. I know that Tesla's in there, Google's in there, and Meta's in there. I strategically didn't include these companies with purpose. Also, companies like Palantir, which I've been eyeing since before it's 10x. I've been eyeing it since it was at the very bottom, but I was 16 back then. I didn't have any money because Palantir was responsible for capturing Osama bin Laden. So I know about all of these little intricacies. I know about Raytheon Technologies, which is like the brand America goes to for military gear. I know about all of the companies, and I strategically didn't put them in this list because this list is the best you can get statistically, data-wise, for the next 5 years, and I can guarantee you that with confidence, because all these companies are going to be growing for the next 5 years, especially Shopify, which is why it's my number 1 holding. It's the nothing compares to Shopify when it comes to e-commerce, and that's it. Their team is brilliant. They're growing year on year, which is just brilliant platform. I personally use them, and that's my list. I've benchmarked each of these companies individually against the S&P, and then I put all these companies into this tool called Portfolio Visualizer to allocate me exactly how much weight I should put on them. And then when I did all my testings, all the different methods of portfolio optimizing and how much percentage you should align to them, this is the number I got. Individually, each of these stocks has beaten the S&P by 20% year on year. Every single one of these stocks. And it makes sense because everybody knows them, except Uber, because Uber only recently got profitable, but I trust Uber a lot. They're literally unstoppable. Because with Robotaxi, whenever Robotaxi gets mentioned, Uber shuts down, but Robotaxi will never actually work. An AI taxi will never work because let's say you are in a Robotaxi from Tesla and somebody throws up in there. What are you going to do? There's so many little ways that Robotaxi will never work for greedy, selfish humans like us. Anyways, all my benchmark results, individually the companies beat the S&P, and together, collectively, they also significantly outperform the S&P. So I'm gonna try to put like a chart or something here if I can. If not, you're just gonna have to watch the video raw because this is my first proper video. But the S&P got 10% and this one got 30%. And I've personally put, I'm gonna come to you now, 500 in here for now, and I'm already up 35. And this is in like less than a week, which I did, but I'm gonna put way more money in here. I'm currently 18, about to turn 19. So at my age now, month on month, my goal is to put 1K in this. And obviously as time goes on, as my income increases, I'm gonna put way more into it, but I completely believe in it. And your first 20,000 a year is tax-free. Everybody should be doing this, especially if you're young like me and you've got time to put in the markets. These companies are the ones that's gonna actually help you out properly. If you wanna invest. Now, I know investing in your business is better. I know that you can't technically predict the markets. What does past performance have to say about future performance? I know all these like loser stuff people say, but this right here, you know the companies, you know they're brilliant. If you search them up, you're not gonna see them flexing there on the S&P. Instead, you're gonna see their actual product. Like if you search up Apple or Ferrari right now, you're gonna go to a real page. You're never gonna go on their, and another way is if you search the stock. If you search the stock and the first thing you see is videos on how the stock will perform instead of the actual company and their brand, then that's a red flag right there. So, knowing all these little things on my strategic, brilliant chess mind, this is what I've came up with and it's brilliant. You should invest in it. Or you shouldn't. Not financial advice, but yeah.